So here's some of the cons. Time commitment. You have to travel anywhere from this is why gyms are everywhere. It's because they know they have to be convenient for you because otherwise you won't go, right? And so there's gyms all over the place. And if your commute is too long, like you're like, oh my God, I want to drive 20 minutes to the gym, do an hour-long workout or 45-minute workout, and then have to drive all the way back home, right? 20 minutes. Like that's 40 minutes of precious time that you could be doing something else, right? So the time commitment is something that can be a con, right? It can be something that can get in the way. Hey, friends. So if you have been enjoying our chats here on the Noble and Nourished podcast, I need a quick favor, and that it is going to make a huge impact. So if you could just take a moment to like, rate, and review the show, I would be so grateful. And here's why that matters, because your ratings and reviews help other amazing women just like you find the show. And it's an easy way to grow our community of strong, health-focused mamas who are all about ditching diets and living life with purpose for generations to come. So whether you're squeezing this episode in between kid drop-offs or listening while you're actually getting a workout in, go ahead and hit that 5-star rating and leave a quick review. And it just takes less than 30 seconds. And it really helps us bring you more of the content you already love. We are back to Noble and Nourished podcast. I'm your host, Chase Williams, and I'm so pumped to talk about this today. So if you've been following me on Instagram for a little while, you guys have seen that I have actually, for the last year, been trying to update my home gym. And so it got me thinking, I was like, you know what, let's talk about this. Let's talk about, should I be focused on a home gym and building out a home gym, or should I be focused on finding a new gym and getting a gym membership? And so really today, what we're going to really just cover is the pros and cons of a home gym versus a gym membership, and what my personal experiences have been, and some personal tips that could be applied to your life as well. And so if you are one of those people that also love watching on YouTube, I'm actually going to be streaming our podcast now on our YouTube channel. And so I'm going to add those links for you guys in the show notes below. So if you want to check out the live stream and watch the videos, like we're face to face, go ahead and click those links in the show notes below. So let's talk about what this really looks like and kind of what my personal story has been with the relationship with the gym and my own relationship with my home gym. So a couple of times, as you guys know, I have 3 kids. I've got 3 girls, which they're actually about to have birthdays this weekend and cannot wait to celebrate them. But one's going to be 9, the baby's going to be 3, and I have a 5-year-old. Okay. So we've got 3 girls. And over the last couple of years, every season has needed something different. And so when people are like, oh, do you only do the home gym? And I'm like, mostly home gym. And we're going to talk about why. And then also I've had a weird relationship with actual gyms. Like I feel super weird, uncomfortable. I can't take off my shoes. I get eyeballs about certain things. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the pros and cons of all the things and what seasons of life would need a home gym versus a gym membership. And again, I've been on both sides. I've done classes in studio gyms, and I've also done home gym stuff. And I actually personal preference, I love a home workout. Absolutely love a home workout. And so we're going to talk about what some of those things would look like. And I know sometimes it can be hard to squeeze in a workout while managing household, kids, career, job, like relationship, And so sometimes driving to a gym just feels totally impossible. And I know that that's a feeling for me, where it's much easier just to like open my garage door and go into the garage. So let's talk about it. Let's kind of start here with some pros, right? Let's start with the home gym. Let's start there in what this might look like. And again, if you've been following me on Instagram, if you're not following me on Instagram, click the show notes. You guys got to go follow me. Like I would love to connect with you guys, especially those of you that are listening here consistently, and really create conversations deeper than just me in your ear, right? Like connect with me on social, go follow me. Okay. So I've been trying to create a home gym. And what I mean by create a home gym is I'm kind of just in the space of like elevating my workouts, wanting to lift heavier, wanting to have more resources in my actual home gym. And I used to be hardcore only functional training, especially like mid-range of like my fitness life. And it's all with like, dumbbells and body movements and more functional training. And so it was much easier to have a home gym in that space because it was, you've only got a few things to worry about, right? You don't need hardcore amounts of equipment and all that kind of good stuff, right? And so that's kind of why I love the home gym aspect. But as I've grown in my own fitness journey, I really want to make sure that I've got the things I need to like get stronger. And that's really been my focus now is like, as we age, we need to make sure we're still putting on muscle mass and progressive overloading. And so for me personally, and what I, process through with my clients as well in my coaching programs is making sure that we are consistently doing a progressive overload. And so if you have limited things at your home, that can kind of hinder that potential growth. So some of the things over time, it's a little bit easier to add to your home gym, right? So costs and concerns to, you don't have a monthly fee coming out. You're only just adding to the gym as you have funds to invest. So you can also tailor that space for the specific style of training that you like doing, right? And so you can make it very customizable for what your needs are and what your goals are. Now, again, some of the cons here is going to be, that initial investment in equipment. And so I'm always for investing in yourself, as if it is going to make you be better, if it is going to encourage you, if it's going to motivate you to change in a positive light, invest. Do not hold back on some of those things. And so invest your money, invest in getting some of that equipment, right? So, but here's some of the cons. And when you're starting out, if you're not wanting to invest a whole bunch of money, you're now limited on the variety of equipment that you do have in the gym, where a gym that if you're in a gym, that would look very different. You're also sitting here where you've got potential lack of motivation or accountability in having a home gym. And I know for me, it's much easier to go sit on the couch with my kids instead of walking out into the garage and going to do my garage workout, right? And especially after a long day of coaching calls or, application interviews for my coaching program, it can emotionally drain you. And then the last thing you want to do is go sit in your garage. So then you've got those distractions, right? Where you've got kids or chores or other things that are weighing on you in the household. And I know that is a huge thing that my husband's constantly like, well, there's dishes and there's laundry. And he's always, that's his excuse, right? Those are things that he mentions. They're, again, distractions as to what's more of a priority. Now, here's some of the pros, right? Like it's easy to walk out there. It's flexible. There's no commute. You save time. You can work out anytime. You don't have to be like, oh, I can only go at this time or this time. And in concerns to privacy, like you don't have to be self-conscious when you go into your gym or your own home gym or your bedroom or wherever your space is, right? And so it's just so much easier to jump into that space when it's right there, right? So you've got some pros, you've got some cons, and having a home gym. Now let's talk about a gym membership. Pros, yay, all the good stuff, right? So there's so much equipment that you have access to. There's equipment, there's classes, there's all kinds of things that you could potentially do in your fitness regimen when you go to a gym. Now you've got a social environment. There's people around you that you potentially could have the opportunity to meet like-minded people, right? You surround yourself by people that work out. Awesome. There's also access to one-on-one trainers or fitness experts or people that you can actually ask questions about the actual equipment or your form, right? Or if you're working one-on-one with a personal trainer, right? And so you've got those potential pros, like these are great things to have access to in working in a gym or working out in a gym. And then it can be motivating where you're like, oh, this is my space. Like I feel good. I can be consistent. I show up at the same time every day, right? And then you've got the cons. I know, and I'm just going to say from a personal experience, early in my working out regimen, going to the gym was not something I enjoyed. I didn't like the space and it didn't feel good to me. Okay. Which is why I really invested on having a space in my garage where it was comfortable. So here's some of the cons. Time commitment. You have to travel anywhere from this is why gyms are everywhere. It's because they know they have to be convenient for you because otherwise you won't go. Right. And so there's gyms all over the place. And if your commute is too long, like you're like, oh my God, I want to drive 20 minutes to the gym, do an hour-long workout or 45-minute workout, and then have to drive all the way back home, right? 20 minutes. Like that's 40 minutes of precious time that you could be doing something else, right? So the time commitment is something that can be a con, right? It can be something that can get in the way, especially if you have a job or, if you have a physical spot that you have to go to your job, if you've got your kids in activities in the afternoons, it's like, oh my gosh, where is this going to fit in, right? So then you've got the cost. Sometimes they're monthly, annual memberships. Sometimes you've got gyms aren't like, if you're just in a like basic gym, sometimes they're anywhere from like 10 to $50, right? For just you. And that's not too bad. Then you start getting up into a little bit more of a studio style gym where you've got a lot of amenities, then your price could potentially be a little bit higher, anywhere from like 100 to 180 or 200 and something, right? So again, then you start adding on members like your kids and this and that, like your husband, your nanny, like you add people on there, then you're like spending a little bit more money, right? So again, just depends on what your goals are. And so the cost piece can be either super like lower price point, or you can go into that studio style, which is a little bit more higher of an investment. Then you've got less flexibility with your schedule. I know for me personally, from, I do have a gym membership right now. And as I think about like, oh, what am I going to do? And when am I going to get to the gym? Sometimes the gym that I'm a part of and I want to go work out, like, let's just say a Sunday morning, they're not open on a Sunday morning. Like they don't open, I think, until like noon or 11 personally, because it is a faith-based gym that I work out of. And I love that. But also I'm like, man, I wish I could have gotten a workout in before church. Right. And so those are some things to kind of also, there's less flexibility in the schedule when you are like kind of connected to a membership at a gym. Again, sometimes they have the 24 hours that, where you can actually, not 24-hour gym, but like where they have the key cards and you can go anytime you want. Super cool. So again, there's a pro, right? There's kind of different studio style, or just depending on what your schedule is. Now let's talk here. What's going to be best for you, right? And so you guys always know I want you to leave these conversations with what are some tips I need to do moving forward? What is going to be the thing to think about in concerns to my schedule and what I need, right? And so here's a couple of questions I want you to kind of ask yourself where you're at in your fitness journey. Where are you at in your goals? Where are you at in your schedule? What kind of season is happening right now with your family? And all of those things. Because if you ask these questions, it'll give you a little bit of guidance on like, oh, now I know what I need to do, or I know I need, flexibility, or I know I need to have a gym to feel motivated, or I need to be going to somewhere where it actually tells me to show up at 9 a.m. and go to a class, right? And so figure out what that looks like for you. So here's a couple of questions I would spend some time in and asking yourself. So number one, do you need flexibility, or do you thrive with more of a structure? Okay. So flexibility, meaning I'm going to do a 5 a.m. workout or a 9 a.m. or a noon or a 2, right? Do you need flexibility because of your schedule? Or are you someone that strives with structure? Okay. That would be someone that needs a 5 a.m. class Monday through Friday every single day, or I need the gym open Monday through Friday, no matter what, right? Is that something that you need, that specific schedule and structure? Or are you that person that needs a little bit more flexibility? So if you are the flexible person, you need to make sure that either A, you set up your home gym to go along with that flexibility, or you find a studio gym membership location that has flexibility where you can show up and do your thing. And then that's the same thing with the structure. So if you're attending classes or attending, where you actually have to show up at a specific time and sign up and do all those things, more of that studio style, you want to make sure that the schedule they offer fits in with your schedule as well, right? And so even though you do need structure and you thrive with structure, you also got to think about like, how is this supporting me and my current routine and schedule? Okay. So make sure it fits. Also, are you motivated by community and people, or are you someone that just likes to be like, put your earphones in and, go do solo workouts, no one talk to me kind of situation? And I've gone through different seasons. Like I've had seasons where I'm like, I need people. I want to be, sprinting next to someone who's going to challenge me, or I want to be, walking alongside somebody and high-fiving them. I've been in that space where I've needed the people around me to like motivate me and to fire me up and to push me harder. I'm right now in the last like couple of years, like I want to be alone. Like I personally, again, it depends on where you're thriving and what your goals are. I like my solo workouts or one or two people to work out with that I like enjoy talking to and that I know are going to show up for a workout, right? And so you've got that accountability buddy or accountability person that you know is going to show up. And so thinking about those two things, like obviously if you're motivated by community and people and high fives and that kind of space, you're going to do really well in a class type setting, a gym or a studio that has that to support your things that motivate you. And if you're into those solo workouts, like I know, again, back to like if I would go to the gym, like I don't want a lot of people there. Like I want to be able to jump on the machines I want when I want. I want to be able to do a little bit of superset on two different machines and not have to worry about someone like waiting around for me. Like it drives me nuts. And so again, it's all going to be personal preference here. I just want you to think through like what things you can implement, what questions to ask so that you make the right or the next best decision for where you're at in your seasons. Okay. What's your budget? Like, what are you dealing with right now? Like, how much do you have to invest? Or how much do you want to invest in your fitness and nutrition or your fitness journey right now? Like, is it a studio style gym where you're paying $200, $250 a month? Is it a fitness coach where you've got all the things included in there? And those could depends on what you're getting with a fitness coach, right? And so price point on those, you just got to figure out what your needs are and what your goals are and what budget is going to fit in with that like goal, right? And so thinking through some of those things as well and what exactly are you getting for the value of what you're investing? And then what equipment do you need for your goals? Some goals are going to be like, hey, I just need to move. I need to work on mobility. Like you might not need a full on gym to achieve those goals. Or heck, if you haven't been consistent in forever, maybe your goal is to like, hey, no, I need to work out for the next 8 weeks, 3 to 4 times a week. And if I do that, then I will get the gym membership, right? Or not if I will do that. Let me reframe that because I would reframe if I had a client said, well, if I, right, I would reframe with them. So we're going to reframe that and we're going to say when I show up 3 to 4 times a week for 8 weeks, then I will purchase and go with my fitness coach, or I will, go sign up for the gym membership. So again, those are some kind of questions to ask yourself and making sure you can kind of decide like where should I be landing and what should I be doing, home gym or gym membership. So for my gym enthusiasts, those, ones that are wanting to create a home gym. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Home gym. If you're wanting to create a home gym, start small. Like you don't have to go out there and buy all the things off Facebook Marketplace right away and like deck out your whole garage. Like you don't even know what you really like. And so if you were brand new to starting out in that space, start small and then add things as you're like, oh, I would love to have this. I would love to have that. Or, oh, now that I've gotten more advanced in my movements, I can now do a squat bar and have a pull-up bar. But maybe when you're first starting, maybe a TRX band, resistance bands, and dumbbells is going to be all you need. And maybe a yoga mat, right? So having those things to start you off, like start small and progress over time. And then making sure that, again, if you're in a home gym and you're trying to figure out what you're doing here, create a dedicated space. Don't just like throw it in. I know for me, like I would not have my gym space here where I do all of my office stuff. Because you know what? This space is associated with coaching calls and like a different part of my brain. And so if I was to come in here and like set this all up for like a home gym in my guest room, like that wouldn't even make any sense for me because you know what I would want to do? I would want to sit right here and do content planning or, fix my programs or like upscale this or plan out some new live training or how can I help more people? Right. And that's where I would be versus if I like keeping my home gym in my garage where it's like literally set up as a home gym. Like it is literally put together for that specific purpose. Okay. And then another thing is you've got to set a schedule. Treat your home workouts like appointments. I know for a fact that you don't miss your dentist appointments because you set them up every 6 months and it's on your calendar and they text you, 4 days prior to going to your dentist appointment, and you show up for your dentist appointment and you show up for your kids' soccer practice and you show up to make sure they make it to the 10 million T-ball practices that they have a week. I know you guys do that. And so you have to make sure, like, if you are going to be a home gym enthusiast and you're going to be like, I work out from home, you've got to get on a schedule to make sure that you are showing up for your workouts, because it's so much easier to not show up for home workouts because something else will come up. And so treat it like an appointment and really stick to the plan. For my gym members, right? For those of you that are like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm ready to go for it. Go visit some of the gyms. A lot of gyms have guest passes, free trials. They'll give you a little tour. Go visit probably like 6 or 7 closest to your house and figure out what you like, because every gym is going to have its own vibe, its own culture feel, its own type of people that come in there. And if you're not about that type of people, you're not going to go. And if it's too far away, you're not going to go. And so do the drive to some of the local gyms and really just pick out what days and times that you want to be there and go check it out during that time, because a 5 a.m. crowd is going to look very different than your 3 o'clock crowd. And I know this for a fact because, again, at the gym I go to, the 3 o'clock-ish, 3 to 4-ish, you've got like these tween boys in there. And they're all kind of just like yipping and yapping like tween boys do. I don't have tween boys, but I definitely see how they behave in a gym setting. And it's kind of funny. I'm like, good job. Like, proud of you boys for being here. But on the other hand, I'm like, y'all quit being so loud. Like, why are y'all yelling in here? But that's something also to think about is as you're wanting to be there during a certain specific time, make sure that the time that is there is the vibe that you want. And I will also say, when you're visiting local gyms, like for me, having a clean space to work out is huge. It's on like probably top priority. I want my machines to work. I want them to be safe. I want it laid out in you don't want to have like squat machine over here and then 10 miles away you've got another leg machine or the leg press or the Smith machine. They're all over the place. You want to make sure that the way that your gym is laid out and it makes sense. Like all the, squat racks are together and all the lower body stuff's together. And then you've got the upper body stuff together. And you got all the cables together. You got free weights all together, right? And so get in there, go experience how it's laid out so you can kind of get a feel for that gym. And I just recently was back home went home because we had a huge hurricane here in Houston. And I went back home to my hometown and I was at my mom's house for like 10 days or something crazy. And I was like, I need to go to the gym. And so I just kind of like popped around, picked a couple of different places to visit. And there was definitely some local gyms that I would probably never step foot back into because it was dirty. It was gross. I felt like uncleanliness. And then, there was a couple other things that I was not a fan of, but those are just some things to think about. So it made me really appreciate where I go to where I live, right? Where my home gym is, not like visiting, right? But like really where I go to on a pretty regular basis. Like it made me appreciate that gym. It really did. And so, again, just if you're going to be a gym goer, like really pick those gym days out, making sure you've got specific days and times that you are going to go to the gym each week. And then, jump in there. Like if you're, again, back to that one question where I said, do you thrive with structure and do you need a community? You got to make sure that the class and groups are going to be like your style and on your schedule. And so making sure that you're kind of watching for those things as well. So just a quick recap, make sure that you guys just, you've got a home gym membership. It really just depends on where you're at in your lifestyle right now, where you're at in your season of life, and what your preferences and goals are. Because each one of those things is going to look very different depending on what you're trying to achieve. And if you got questions like, hey, Chase, this is what I want to do, or this is where I'm at right now. Like, send me a DM on Instagram. Like, I would love to chit chat with you about it. Like, let's talk through it. Like, let's go. Like, I want to help you figure that out. Like, I totally don't mind having that conversation with you. So just want to encourage you guys that, just jump into what works for you, what works for your journey, what works for your goals. And it's really a fitness journey is really personal, and it really is what matters most to you and where you find the most joy for you to be the most consistent in your routine. So I encourage you guys to just stick with it and continue showing up for yourself. And want to let you guys know that make sure you guys are following for next week, because I've got a couple of guests that we're actually going to be scheduled out the next couple of weeks, and they're going to be jumping on our schedule. And so make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for joining me, Chase Williams, on today's episode of the Noble and Nourished podcast. And I hope today's episode has encouraged you and empowered you to take action in your fitness and nutrition journey with your walk with Jesus. Until next time, stay noble, stay nourished, and let's create a household of health.